In a rare opportunity, correspondent Richard Lindell was recently granted a visa to Sri Lanka. There he saw firsthand a government intent on intimidation and a population cowed into submission. That includes the country's journalists. Richard Lindell spoke to Frederica Jansz, the editor of Sri Lanka's Sunday Leader.
We have been attacked 9 times. We are 18 years old, and our presses have been burnt down twice. And of course, we paid the ultimate price when our founder, editor-in-chief, Lasantha Wickrematunge, was murdered in January 2009. Even after that murder, I myself have continued to receive death threats. So yes, it's a huge challenge to remain independent. And more recently, we even had the president himself calling my chairman and the owner of the newspaper and yelling at him, literally yelling, for a front page news item that we had carried, exposing that he had siphoned off ₹1 billion into a private account from a Chinese grant.
What you've just talked about seems to back the Reporters Without Borders report, which says that journalists, even now, 3 years after the war, continue to be attacked, beaten, harassed, and labelled as traitors if they speak up against the government.
Oh yes, and at the Sunday Leader, that is a term that has been, we've been consistently called just that, traitors. Again, by the Defence Secretary himself, on the Defence Ministry website, where he labelled not only us, but our lawyers who were appearing for us in court cases as traitors and terrorists.
Given the considerable personal risk, why do you continue to do it?
I believe in what I am doing. Somebody has to do it. And I believe that at the Sunday Leader we have contributed somewhat to make some change, even if it is in the way people think in this country. And that by itself is a huge step.
When I read the Sri Lankan media, it appears that the government is winning the propaganda war. Most of the media coverage is very favourable to the government. It does address the issues of the day, but very much from the government standpoint.
It is indeed, it's pathetic really, the current situation where the media is concerned in this country. Everybody, yes, the government has been extremely successful in forcing the media into submission.
What about the general population, the readers, the viewers? Do they buy what they're watching? Do they really think this is a fair and accurate depiction of what's going on in Sri Lanka?
I don't think that readers actually think it's fair and accurate. Having said that, civil society in Sri Lanka is lethargic and dormant. So unfortunately, even with a newspaper like ours, we can only write it as it is. But there is nobody out there in terms of a civil society organization or even the main opposition party to take forward those issues.
In the final editorial written by the former editor, Lasantha Wickrematunge, he asked whether the readers, whether the general population deserved the sacrifices Sri Lankan journalists were making, and implored people not to take that commitment for granted. Do you think the general population does care enough today?
No, I don't think so. And yes, I agree with those words. We are taken for granted, and we seem to be lone crusaders out there, and that really is the tragedy for society here in Sri Lanka today.
So again, I need to ask you the question, why do you continue to do it if most of the population really doesn't seem to be engaging in the issues, in the fight against the politics and the policies of the government?
Because I, as a newspaper editor, if I lose hope, then I shouldn't be sitting here or doing what I am doing. I still have hope that I can make that change.
That's Frederica Jansz, the editor of Sri Lanka's Sunday Leader, and she was speaking to our South Asia correspondent Richard Lindell.